Well, hi, this is Grixon, and yeah, I'm back for the War Within, and I've been running keys. Um, we're gonna do a ++8 Ara'Kara here, and I'm going to try my best to talk about, you know, the key itself, blood decay specific mechanics that are helpful. They're not absolutely crucial, but they will help. So for this poll, I am running with people from the guild. We're not like a key group, but we are from the guild. So here I mess up. I kind of hit that, and my healer runs past because I missed my first hit on that. So when you're doing a big pull like this, one of the big problems you're gonna run into is you don't have any resources for death strikes, especially if you're getting hit on the run. So you kind of have to strafe and hit at the same time with the resources. Okay, here we go. So, obviously standing death and decay, and there's a few interactions. If you see on my screen where it says 2, it's the coagulopathy, and that's at 3, and then it'll go to 4. And so if you don't know how coagulopathy works, it's something that you'll optimize as you play, and it makes it so your dot that you do, your blood fever, will do more damage. So every tick of coagulopathy you have up makes your dot do more damage. Now there's ways to modify this, right? So Dancing Rune Weapon causes 2 duplicates of your weapon. So when you blood boil, you do your dot 3 times. It stacks 3 times on a target. So obviously 5 stacks of coagulopathy with that is a lot of damage. And then to compound this, you could also do consumption, which causes your dot to tick 60% faster. So all these together add up to a lot of extra damage throughout the key. So we have all these interactions now with, you have to keep up coagulopathy. You don't have to, okay, but this is like min-maxy, like getting better at blood decay. This is going to be the difference in your damage right here. So keeping coagulopathy up as much as possible, balancing bone shield stacks, and then spending your tombstone, your bone storm to drop your bone shield stacks, to lower your CD of Dancing Rune Weapon, to give you the 3 dots, to have coagulopathy up. I mean, it all synergizes together. So what this results in is a very, very almost bloated. It's like a bloated blood decay we have right now. And so you have to manage stacking up coagulopathy. You have to manage those bone shield stacks. You have to make sure you're doing your heart strike. Make sure you're not overcapping on runes. Also worrying about your kicking. There's a lot of saucers. We're juggling a lot right now. So this is the first key I'm showing this season, and it's not because, I mean, 8 these days is not that big now that we're like a month into the season. But the thing I want to show about this is not the key level, but just the interaction between the different things in our kit right now. So when I'm playing this, I'm looking at, see right now, I could have been death striking, I could have been working at my coagulopathy, but you know, I was worried about making sure I'm getting my kicks. I'm gripping Resonant Barrage, so that way it doesn't barrage or whatever. It's just how the voice thing does it. So sometimes I get distracted and I don't keep up with my own rotation. But I mean, if you look at, I mean, I'm doing relatively big pulls right now, right? And this is a fortified week. But I mean, I'm still doing, what, 1 mil overall, and I bet you if you were to hover over it right now, it's mostly all from my dot. Most of it's going to be from the dot. And then probably, what's it called next? The Exterminate. So you obviously want your new hero talents, your Reaper's Mark on cooldown. And then we're kind of teetering. We want to spend our Bone Shield stacks and make sure you're doing this in Death and Decay for Bone Shatter. So if you're new to Blood DK and you haven't been around for a while, when we spend Bone Shield stacks, we do this thing called Bone Shatter, which makes us do AoE damage around us. This is tripled when we are in our Death and Decay. So anytime you're going to Tombstone, it spends 5 Bone Shield stacks. That's going to do Bone Shatter 5 times, pretty much, right? So you want to be in Death and Decay whenever you use Tombstone or Bone Storm, because Bone Storm also uses it. So to maximize our damage, we want to be in Death and Decay as much as possible, and then keeping Coagulopathy up. And again, if you're brand new to Blood DK and you're just learning, please do not worry about Coagulopathy. Keeping it at 5 stacks. This is as you get better and as you're like understanding how the class works. This is a way to keep your damage and your threat relevant. And also, how you do Coagulopathy is Death Striking. So you have to Death Strike every 8 seconds. That's pretty much what that means. So you need to be generating runic power by Hard Strike, and then spending that with Death Strike. Now, you can spend a bunch, and then Consumption actually gives you 2 runes back. So you can do this whole dancing rune weapon, heart striking a bunch, blood boiling. You have to blood boil to keep up the dot, right? Because the dot does go away after like 10 seconds if you don't. So you do need to be blood boiling. And then, yeah, if you have 3 stacks of the dot because of your dancing rune weapon, you can do Consumption, and all 3 of those will tick 60% faster during that time. You don't have to line it all up that way. It's helpful. Like, it will translate to damage and threat. However, if you're brand new to Blood DK, try your best to stand in Death and Decay as much as possible. That will be the biggest benefit to you, is learning to manage your Bone Shield stacks and standing in Death and Decay. Don't worry about anything else. Don't care about like what other people say is like the best thing for Blood DK. Start there. Brand new. So some of those core things out of the way. If anybody has any actual like other questions about the class, or kind of like what to look out for, or what specifically I look out for, let me know. And in the next video, I'll make sure to pay closer attention to it. Route-wise, this place isn't really crazy about the route. Just gotta make sure those stag shells never finish going off. And then you need to be careful with these blood guards, because they give an aura to everything around it, making them take less damage. So if you pull a blood guard, you gotta make sure like either you focus him or just understand things are gonna take way less damage while he's around. So you can't pull too insane with these guys out. Some of you may notice I am running Umbilicus Eternus. I know Wowhead's recommended guide is using Bloodshot. And I know Dark Mech put out a video saying like, you're dumb if you don't use Bloodshot. He didn't say exactly like that. I'm not Australian, I'm not gonna use his vernacular there, but my philosophy with Blood DK, specifically early in the season, is be as tanky as you possibly can until you are very comfortable with your routes, with your pulls, with the kicking, and you want to be survivable as possible. And math aside, this is a tankier way to do this. Then you can scale up your damage by changing little things in your talents. So first and foremost, I always prioritize being as tanky as possible in the beginning of the season, and then going towards a little bit more damage as I go farther in. Bloodshot is good, but most of Bloodshot's physical increased damage happens while you have Blood Shield up. Blood Shield happens when you Death Strike, and Blood Shield is influenced by your mastery. So the higher your mastery, the more Blood Shield you get. However, this has been significantly nerfed in the War Within, so your uptime of Blood Shield is less, which, it's fine. It is more damage, and your Death Strike will benefit from it regardless if you have Blood Shield or not, but your Hard Strike won't. So, it's not as great as it used to be. It's still good. It's still the better pick for a damage option, and if you're playing super just optimally, it's good. But you cannot argue with Umbilicus Eternus being more defensive. And how Umbilicus Eternus works is it is tied to your Blood Fever dot, and the more your Blood Fever dot is ticking after Vampiric Blood ends, you get a big shield. So this synergizes with Coagulopathy, right? If you're good at keeping Coagulopathy up and your blood plagues are ticking harder, your shield will be much bigger after Vampiric Blood ends. So I do like that interaction. I do like that I'm rewarded with a big fat shield if I'm doing good with my Coagulopathy and my dot management. I know it's not the Wowhead optimal way to go, but in the end, you play how you like, and right now this makes sense for me. So, the disclaimer here is I'm not a pro. I'm just a guy who likes to play Blood DK. So my way is not the absolute optimal way, it's just how I like to play. So with this fight, most people are going to want you during that circle phase to kind of hang around the right outside to bait those impales away from the rest of your team. And he likes to do his charge away, his bro charge. So I try to do my Death Strike right before he left so I could keep Coagulopathy up. And then I actually Death Striked on this web mage just to keep it going, because I wasn't going to reach him in time. Blood DKs are inherently pretty slow, so one thing that can help is Wrath of Lich King Engineering has rocket boosts. It goes on your belt, and you can use it to just like speed forward really fast. So here I am looking, I want to get these carriers, I want to get that interrupt out, and then I want to grab these guys. And then I'm going to use some slappy hands, try and keep them in place so they don't jump to a bunch of people. Maybe I don't. I thought I did. There it is. I'm trying to keep them gripped to me. This plater profile I'm using is Quasi with the add-on that makes it so when there's a kick you need to interrupt, if you have the kick available, it'll have a green border. So that's why sometimes, like right now, it's a green border. It means I have a kick available for it. Quasi is known for being a tank-first type of player, so I like to use his plater profiles because of that. So again, this hauler has the same... I did not want to grab those guys yet, but, you know, it is what it is. The hauler has the same issue as the blood guards. He gives that aura, which makes so everything around him takes less damage. Not us, but, you know, other enemies. So these bats are annoying because they like to jump to other people and do damage. And if they, I mean, it just makes them live longer. They're just that much more annoying.
Massive slam. Massive slam.
Alright, so this last fight, I'll try and explain from a blood DK's perspective. It's absolutely freaking easy mode as a blood DK because we have Death's Advance, which makes us immune to knockback and movement impairing effects. You'll see exactly why that's useful in a couple seconds. So in this fight, from this boss, everybody needs to grab a slime and attach it to them so that way they're rooted. So that way the boss can't pull you in and kill you. However, blood DK can just disadvance and not get pulled in at all. So what I like to do with this guy is I like to grab him. I do my Death Caress, I taunt him, I grip him. So grip acts as another taunt. So I'm just kind of like trying to put what damage I can from range to pull him to me and not lose threat.
Cultivated poison.
This does damage, and anti-magic shell can't help. So really, again, coagulopathy, I dropped it because I wasn't paying attention. So the singularity, Death's Advance, boom, I don't care, see? And so what I try and do here is I try and grip these just to help the team, like, get them off the team. That's generally what I try and do. So now I'm trying to build up coagulopathy again, because I did let it drop for literally no reason. Again, I'm not perfect, I'm just an everyday player like everybody else. So yeah, trying to keep coagulopathy going. I need, there it goes, okay. I was like, I need to do it again. And that's this whole fight. As the tank, as a blood DK specifically, you're just doing what damage you can, keeping your buffs up, Death advancing, getting out of the explosion, and then I like to grip this stuff away. So that way it gets off the bros. And I mean, that's the whole fight. You're trying to spend your runes and then get that blood boil going and then hopefully consume to get that 60% tick. As blood DK, one of the biggest things that newer players do, they do not spend their cooldowns, and I'm still guilty of this a good amount, is we have a lot of cooldowns and a lot of tools, but they have no value if you're not spending them. That means your Icebound Fortitude, that means your Anti-Magic Shell, that means your Lichborn. That means you consume. I mean, every time you don't press it, when it could be helpful, is a big waste overall in your survivability. Soul Reaper is nice because it's like an execute. You do extra damage when they're at a certain amount. And then if they die from it, you get rune regeneration. So let's see the damage here. Let me see. So there, Blood Boil, Exterminate. This is counting both swipes of Exterminate. So Exterminate's still going to do a lot, but Blood Plague, just my dot, not, I called it blood fever the whole time. I'm sorry, blood plague. Just my dot. If you're playing well and you're keeping coagulopathy up and you're doing your consumptions, this will be top damage easily. And there's that shattering bone I was talking about. If you're standing in death and decay and you spend bone shield charges, you do shattering bone, which is AoE damage. Reaper's Mark, Blood Boil does a decent amount, but I mean, all this kind of teeters off, but really, Exterminate and Blood Plague are going to be your top. And if you're very good with your coagulopathy and your dot management, Blood Plague will probably be top, especially in big pulls. Okay, that is the key, and thank you for watching. I will see you guys later, and yeah, thanks for stopping by. Good to be back. I'll try and make sure I'm putting up more videos. Thanks.